Hi, everybody, and welcome to Social Work 541, Social and Economic Justice 2. My name is Megan McCoy, and I will be the instructor for this course. And I'm really excited to be here with you in this session teaching this course. I also teach Social Work 540, which is the first part of Social and Economic Justice. So I'm actually really excited to be able to move forward with the second part of the class and sort of build on what you've learned in Social Work 540. So some of the big questions that we'll be dealing with in this class, if you recall from Social Work 540, we talked a lot about what we mean by social and economic justice and how policy has historically been constructed with regard to social welfare in the United States. And in this course, the big question we're really going to be dealing with is how do we translate this understanding into action? And I have a quote down here from Nelson Mandela: overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice. And I included that here because in some of your readings in this first week, you're going to be reading about the distinction between charity and justice and different conceptualizations of what justice is. So why does understanding macro practice matter? I've included here, and I'll post this on the course website as well, because I don't think you'll be able to click on it in the video, a link to an article, fairly recent article in Social Work Today, which features interviews with several social work school professors who sort of talk about the importance of macro practice for social work today, and I think it would be a great article for everybody to check out. I know a lot of times when I talk to social workers, they tend to be very clinically focused and focused on the individual, and that's absolutely, we would all agree, critically important. However, even in clinical social work, you are not operating outside of the realm of macro social work. You're being influenced by policy, by history, and you're often interacting with clients in meso-level settings, whether it's an organization that you work in, it could be a hospital, it could be a school, it could be a social services agency. But my view is that these things are all connected, and each has an influence on the other. And in each of these realms of macro practice, meso-level settings, and micro-level practice with the individual, as social workers, there are points that we can intervene. And in this course, we're going to specifically be talking about how we do that in terms of macro practice, but also how that can impact the individual. So just want to briefly just go over a couple of points from the syllabus. I'm not going to review the entire thing with you. Certainly read the syllabus, which is posted on the course website. And if you have questions, feel free to email me or post questions about the syllabus in the Ask the Instructor forum. But just in terms of my expectations and understandings that I want to make sure are clear, and I usually do this at the start of all the classes that I teach. And I know most of you have been in the program for a while now, so none of this should be anything new, I think, at this point. First and foremost, academic integrity, making sure that you're using APA format, you're using work that is your own, you're citing things. If there are ideas that you've gotten elsewhere, and you're paraphrasing. If anyone has any questions or concerns about what constitutes plagiarism, please review the guidelines under the student resources section of the course. And again, I know most of you have been in the program for a little while now. You should all be familiar with that. Definitely, I always encourage students to stay on top of readings and assignments. These 7-week classes, I know you know as students, and I also certainly know from teaching, go by incredibly quickly, and when you get behind, it becomes a challenge for you and for me to get you caught up. Writing is also important. Making sure in your discussion posts and in this, and also in your written assignments, which you have several of in this course, that you're writing clearly and in a scholarly, academic manner. If writing is something that is not necessarily a strength for you, make sure you're taking advantage of the Writing Center at Widener. Again, a link to that information is also on the course website. Certainly, I encourage respectful debate. Certainly in these courses, we do talk about topics that people may have varying views on, and that's absolutely okay. What's most important is that we discuss the issues that come up respectfully. Professional standards of behavior, again, I don't think I have to say too much about that at this point. Make sure you're utilizing the resources available to you on the website. And finally, I do understand that many of you are working, going to school, have families. I know that that is all a balancing act because I myself, as a doctoral student, have also also encountered having to balance work and school and family. So I understand that, and that's why for me, communication is absolutely important. I do know sometimes emergencies happen, and it's really critical that if you find yourself in a situation where you can't submit something on time or you feel like you're getting behind, that you reach out to me and we have a conversation about that so that we can try to keep you on track. Because again, as I said, on these 7-week courses, they go by really quickly, and I'm not really able to accept late assignments, and certainly not without having had a conversation about it. So in terms of communication, you can feel free to use the Ask the Instructor forum for any general questions that others might share. Chances are if you have a question, somebody else may have the same question. So feel free to post general questions about the syllabus or assignments, etc. In the Ask the Instructor forum. Use Engage email if you have more specific questions that are more personal. I check email a couple of times a day usually, so you will typically get a response from me within 24 hours, maybe a little longer if it's over the weekend, but I do check email several times a day. And then in terms of office hours, I'm going to do something a little different in this course than I've done in the past. I do usually have set office hours where I make myself available online. However, I find that students don't typically take advantage of that. So in this course, I'm going to have office hours by appointment only. So if you need to meet with me virtually or by phone, or just want some feedback, feel free to send me an email and we'll schedule a time to do that that's mutually agreeable. I actually have quite a bit of flexibility in my schedule this semester, so that should not be a problem. And then in terms of communication, another big way that I, as an instructor in my teaching style, provide communication is through written feedback. I don't just give you a number for your assignments. I typically give you written feedback, and that's one of the main ways in this online education environment that I communicate with students. It becomes, especially actually in this class, I think we have 20 students in this particular course. I can't respond to every single discussion post or get involved in every single dialogue that's going on in the course. However, when I give you your grades, I can give you individual feedback. So that's how I tend to communicate with students. Just a few notes on grading and deadlines. I'll be adhering to the guidelines outlined in the syllabus, so if you have any questions about those in terms of how certain assignments are weighted and things like that, please let me know. Review the grading rubrics for the discussion forums and for each of the assignments. That will be the basis for your grades. I stick fairly rigidly to those rubrics. Another thing, and I say this in all my classes that I teach, I hate seeing students get so caught up in points and how many points they're getting that they sort of lose sight of critically engaging with whatever the assignment is or the question is that you're responding to. So if you follow what the assignments ask you to do, and if you're following the grading rubrics, you will see that the points will come, basically. So don't get too stressed out by points. They will come. And in terms of deadlines, again, please adhere to the deadlines for the assignments indicated on the course webpage. If you find yourself in a situation where that is a challenge for any reason, communication is critical. But in most cases, I really can't extend deadlines just due to how quickly these classes go by. And I included a little cartoon down here. I'm not a procrastinator. I just prefer doing all my work in a deadline-induced panic. I think a lot of us function in that way. But please make sure you're meeting the deadlines. So I just wanted to talk briefly about week 1, which is going to be an introduction to macro practice. You will see the readings and videos on the course website, and there is no required textbook for this course other than the APA manual. All of the readings will be provided via links. So your readings and videos for week 1 are on the course site. One of the first things you need to do in this course, there is a semester-long series of dyad projects that you're going to be working on with a partner. Written assignments 2, 3, and 4 all involve working with a partner, and we'll talk more specifically about those assignments as we get to them. But for this week, you need to identify if you know who you would like your partner to be. I know some of you have been in class together before. If you know who you would like your partner to be, please email me by Thursday and include, copy both individuals who are going to be in the dyad in that email, so I know that everybody's in agreement. If you don't email me a partner, I will assign partners on probably on Friday. So that's the first part, and we'll talk about what those assignments actually are as we get to them. And then this week you have 2 discussion posts. And the initial posts are due Thursday, responses are due Sunday. One is an introduction post, one is a social justice and community practice post. And then also look at assignment 1, which is an individual assignment. It is not due until week 2. It's going to be due Thursday of week 2, but it does involve putting together a presentation, so you may want to get a head start on that. So also look at that. Let's go over the assignments briefly. So your first discussion post this week, this is your introduction post. I know in most of the other courses I've taught in this program, we usually have an introduction video. This is not a video. This is actually a written response. For your initial post, you want to describe 2 communities that have been important to your development as a social worker. And you're going to be reading about community in some of the readings this week. So these communities, it could be places you've lived or groups you've been involved with, occupations of which you were a part. And in your post, you want to name the communities, or you can name them generally if confidentiality is important. Briefly describe the communities, so how big were they, how many people are in them, any other characteristics that might be important. Provide a sentence or 2 about the purpose of each community, and provide a few sentences about what being a member of each community did or provided for you. And then that'll be due Thursday, and then on Sunday you'll respond to 2 classmates, and in your response you want to discuss the similarities and differences you see between your experiences and those of your classmates, and also think about what your communities provided for you in relation to your classmates, and what seemed most important to you. So again, initial post due Thursday, follow-up post due Sunday. Follow the guidelines in terms of word length, and the discussion forum rubric, grading rubric, which you can click on the link here to see. So that's the first discussion post this week. The second discussion post involves social justice and community practice. And for this post, you're going to read through the Widener social work shared case, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And then you're going to write an initial post that includes these 2 components. You're going to first describe the social and economic justice issues involved in Anita's case. Make sure you include at least 1 citation from the week's readings and a citation to the NASW Code of Ethics to support your description. So you're sort of applying both the readings and the Code of Ethics to discuss the social and economic justice issues at stake in Anita's case. And then selecting one of the social and economic justice issues that you described, you want to talk about how social workers could use community organizing to address this issue. And again, you're going to be reading about community organizing this week. You're going to use the Beckwith and Lopez community organizing resource, which is under your week 1 required readings, to identify at least 2 community organizing techniques that may be particularly effective in this case. And again, that will be due Thursday. On Sunday, you will follow up with at least 2 classmates, preferably who don't yet have responses. And in that response, you're going to discuss the similarities and differences you see between your observations and those of your classmates. Do you see the issues at stake the same way, or were different issues important? What, if any, organizing techniques did you find or think were relevant that were not in your peers' post? And again, follow the word requirements in the grading rubric. And finally, this is assignment 1. Again, this is not due until week 2. It's actually due Thursday of week 2. It is worth 20% of your final grade. And for this assignment, you're going to prepare an 8 to 10 minute presentation using pictures, videos, and words to answer the question, do I live in a good community? So you can use either PowerPoint or Word to display your information, and you can use Screencast-O-Matic to record the oral part of the video presentation. And I'm sure most of you have used Screencast-O-Matic at this point, but if you haven't, it's fairly easy to use, and there is a link on the course page that takes you to instructions on how to use it if you're unfamiliar with it. So for this assignment, you're going to analyze the geographic community in which you currently reside. So you can either select your immediate neighborhood or your entire town, or if you're in a city, you can use the entire city, or you can use a neighborhood within the city. That's up to you. And you're going to start by reading the article, Seeking the Good Community. And I'm going to pause here because my video is running out of time, and I'm going to post a part 2 video to finish this discussion.